Okay. I'd like to call to order the public hearing for the proposed donation of $25,000 from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for the outdoor classroom at Lebanon Middle School. Is there any additional information?
Sure. This will do, thank you very much, this will do the site plan for the rooftop outdoor classroom.
Fantastic.
So I'd like to thank the Lebanon Middle School team for pursuing this donation and for the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for the donation. Great.
Does red mean
The
you're on?
red means you're on. So if you have to try, if you would like to speak, you're good to go. Go ahead.
Oh, cool.
Okay, thanks. All right, then I will close the public hearing for the donation, and I will open the school board meeting. Call to order the school board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I got you.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, public comment will occur during the meeting's public comment section. You can raise your hand remotely or in person. Once acknowledged, please state your name and ward so that we can include it in the minutes. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. Public comment is governed by policy BEDH. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I would like to remove item 9C off the agenda to be discussed after non-public. In a non-public.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. We'll open the floor for public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none. Is there any public comment online?
Yes, Faith, I'm going to promote you to speak here. 1 second. All right, Faith, you should be able to take yourself off mute.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
I have to sign in as a panelist, and then it sends me back to Zoom, and it grinds a little bit, and then I come back, and then I notice I'm muted.
Okay.
And then, so just letting you know.
Can you say your name and ward and then go ahead?
My name is Faith Hendrickson, Ward 2. First off, I want to thank you all at the board for all the work you put in, most of you for free. And I want to thank the people who aren't coming back, who are, I guess, retiring from the board with the upcoming elections. I did have one question. With the school board elections coming up, is there a way to know if any of the candidates have attended the school board meetings or committee meetings, either in person or via Zoom or whatever? Thank you so much.
Thank you. That is a good question.
You can ask maybe at the...
Yeah, I think it's a good question to ask at the candidates night, which is on February 25th, correct? At 6:30 p.m. And that is one of the questions that has been asked before at the candidates night, which is probably the best time to do that. And it will also be recorded as well, so you can see the answers if you cannot attend, and it will be on Zoom. So.
Oh, okay, good.
Sorry, one presumes also if they have left a public comment, that will be in the minutes of previous meetings?
Yes, if they left a public comment, made a public comment, that will be in the minutes of previous meetings. We don't take attendance at meetings, so if they were in the audience, that would not be in the meetings.
Those are located on the website, our minutes, the SAU website, SAU88.net.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other public comment?
There's no other public comment.
All right, we will close the public comment for now. And we have no, this is a change, we have no student report, or do you have anything to say, student report wise? No.
Just quickly, So we don't have an outdoor classroom coming our way, but we have been in contact with Mary Maxfield, former longtime science teacher at Lebanon High School, and we're working with her organization and John Kerber to strategically plant trees around Lebanon High School. And everyone knows that that front parking lot, we would love to disrupt it a little bit with medians, or what do they call we can plant trees out of them.
Medians work.
Yeah, and so we might be getting 7 or 8 trees, and I think that's a long-term plan is to dot them strategically such that we can do good things there. I guess it's identified as the greatest hot zone in Lebanon, so there is a plan to do that, and we have a scheduled meeting, so.
Thank
And
you.
does that mean I'm gonna have to withdraw my denuded comment of 2 years ago?
No, that probably still stands.
But I will be able to be very excited about the.
Yeah, I knew you'd
all
like
of the
that,
shade.
yes,
I'm
yeah.
very
We all
excited.
like that.
Thank you for sharing.
So we
That's
fought to
lovely.
keep the trees, and I think that's important when we did the addition as best we could, and so we were pretty successful with that.
Great.
That's great.
Thank you. All right, correspondence?
There was one letter from Tom Gomez regarding Semino.
Thank you. And that brings us to the consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the public minutes.
Make a motion to approve the public minutes from January 22nd, 2025.
Motion by MJ, can I get a second? Second by Mary, thank you. Is there any additions, deletions, MJ? Okay.
I just have one. Top of page 2, I think you had the wrong high school. It should be LHS, and there it says MBRHS.
Oopsie. Automatic.
That's okay. All right, so motion to approve the public minutes from January 22nd. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, one abstention. Thank you.
There, so I should abstain too.
Okay, we're gonna change that again.
Sorry.
We're gonna try, because we're gonna start that vote over again. All those in favor? Okay, 7 of us. All those opposed? Any abstentions? 2 abstentions. All right, thank you. All right, that brings us to the SAU leadership team update and the superintendent's update.
Good evening. I have a very brief update for tonight. First of all, I wanted to acknowledge it's the 100th day of school, so our elementary schools have been celebrating today. Principal Roach is dressed in her disco gear. She had a disco party for celebrating the 100th day of school. Just so you know, we do have a snow day tomorrow for the inclement weather. I wanted to highlight, we were approached by the State Board of Ed and the New Hampshire School Administrators Association to present the Take Flight program at the State Board of Education meeting. That was supposed to happen tomorrow, but with the weather, it has been canceled. So we will be going there on March 13th. The intention of these meetings is to highlight successes in public education. So we are taking the entire Take Flight class, Dr. Robinson and I, and their teachers down there, and we'll present and celebrate all the successes that we have in Lebanon. My final update, I was able to connect with Jim O'Shaughnessy. He said that he himself or a designee will come to our meeting in late March, early April to discuss the lease of the SAU building. So we should have a resolution by that timeline. And that concludes my brief report.
The lease meaning the deed.
The deed, yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Tim?
I do not have a financial report that will be next board meeting. And this is the briefest report I've ever given, so I'm done.
Oh my gosh. All right, great. Okay, that moves us on to unfinished business, which is discussion and action first on the school calendar. Do we have to do anything? We just need to vote to
Just need
approve
a
it.
motion,
No motion to approve. We've seen this before. We just haven't approved it yet.
and it will be, once approved, out in color.
Did we have to do a,
Yep, I have an MOU signed with the
Okay.
teachers. They were in agreement with that. If the teacher contract does not pass.
So the only thing in the MOU addresses though is the start date, it doesn't address anything else. How
So-
many days there's
It would,
work
it
for?
does, the MOU addresses the start date with the agreement that we, in that negotiation, that they do the 184 days. Yeah, it's through that negotiation period, that was what we decided. And that makes that they only have that one teacher sit-up day.
And is the MOU just, if the, is it just a one-year MOU in the event that the contract doesn't pass, or until
Yes.
the new contract passes?
Just it's a 1 year, yeah, just to March.
Great. Any other questions? Calendar? Okay, so we need a motion to approve this calendar.
Make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 school year calendar as presented tonight with a start date of, for students on Wednesday, August 27th, 2025.
Okay, can I have a second? Second by Mary. Anything else? All right, all those in favor? Okay, great, thank you. All right, then we've got some policies.
These are fancy new things. Can I get it close enough to me? Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt the policies listed under 9, unfinished business, B, not C, but then D through H.
Second that.
Okay. All right, motion by Wendy and seconded by Richard. Are there any additional comments on these policies? Okay, all those in favor? Great.
And I'd like to make a motion for policies listed under 9, unfinished business, I through K, to withdraw those policies.
Okay, motion to withdraw. Can I get a second? Second by Richard. Any additional information on those? All right, all those in favor? Great. Okay, that brings us to new business. Discussion and action on the $25,000 donation from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for the outdoor classroom at Lebanon Middle School. Can I get the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the $25,000 donation from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for the outdoor classroom at LMS.
Okay, motion by MJ. Can I get a second? Second by Richard. Thank you. Anyone have any additional questions or comments on that? We are, as always, very grateful to the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for supporting all the schools. In particular, this middle school is gracious, is grateful as well. I'm sure.
Can I ask who reached out to the foundation?
Yes, that's a good question. Tom did.
Yes, Principal Harkin.
Good job.
Good job. Thank you, Principal Harkin. All right, so all those in favor of approving the donation? Okay, great, thank you. We are going to have a quick change, which we forgot to mention. Hold on. Did I get to my right? We're going to move the high school handbook and program of studies and athletic handbook up first because they have a scheduling conflict. So we're going to start with the high school.
So, is this on?
You have to press it, red is on, there you go.
Testing. So for the first time in months, I don't have my clicks. Katie's let me borrow these, I think it's part of her costume, these colored glasses.
Aggressive.
No real major changes to the parent-student handbook. We tied school board policy and referenced it where it was appropriate throughout the parent-student handbook. And we received help from the Ed Committee on that, so we're grateful for that. We did, after not much consternation, to be honest with you, we kind of tried it out and put it in play of not giving a 0 for the first academic integrity infraction. We thought that was kind of we hoped it would be more of a deterrent perhaps than it was. And we found the end result to be kind of devastating to a student's grade. So we moved it to a 55, which makes really a whole lot of, it makes a significant difference. And it becomes more of an educational conversation than a punitive one. The rest of, within the second infraction is a 0, and the third, I think we talk to parents, we typically don't go down that road too much. So we feel good about that, and I think the end result has worked well. Athletic handbook, I'm recalling. I know that it was reviewed by Ben Davis, and I think Will helped on that as well, and that has been a work in progress over the years. Every year, I think we are done doing, the kind of the housekeeping piece of that handbook, and yet problems remain. So maybe we finally have it cornered. And what we did do is we changed. We put in play long-standing practice of not being able to switch teams once rosters are completed. We run into that issue this year. Coaches were upset. They said that had never happened. I said I couldn't point to it in the handbook, so we had to let it go through. The problem there is that team selections have been made, students have been assigned, student athletes have been assigned to different levels, and when a player decides to switch after team selections have been made, it causes a fuss that we would prefer not to pursue. And so we really are encouraging our athletes in our early meetings to pick a sport and to stay with it. Of course, if there is an exception, I think you have to play a card and say, let's make the switch if it's absolutely necessary. But we typically haven't run into that. And so we wanted to put language around it, put it in the handbook so we can at least refer to it. It's not a huge deal, but I think coaches are happy as a result. There are some changes to the program of studies that Bonnie will take us through, a new class, changes to reassessment, and other relatively minor, reassessment wasn't minor, but it was, again, I consider that, and we're happy to talk more about it, but more of a housekeeping issue. There were different practices being put in play around reassessment, who is eligible, what grade should they get, et cetera. And so we have streamlined it and have coordinators committed to this new language. And I think it's better for kids and to streamline it so expectations are in place. Bonnie might disagree, but that would not be unusual.
Since our meeting with the Ed Committee, there have been a couple of other changes, so I just want to go over those briefly. As you know, we've had an 8-year relationship with Hypertherm and Fujifilm Dymatics. The global economy is changing their outlook a bit, and they don't want to commit to the same length of time that they have in the past. So they're cutting down to about a month each, and we're seeking 3 other community partners to fill in the rest of the semester. So our students will get an even greater view of STEM in the Upper Valley. At this point, BioExcel and Dartmouth Health are on board. We have 1 more slot, and we went on a tour of the plant earlier this week, and we're hoping that will come together. So rather than be an internship, it's now an externship, where students will have experiences in 5 different high-tech companies in the Upper Valley, and they will also have some soft skills training through New Hampshire. So that's exciting. Be a little happier when we have all 5, but that's good. The other thing that has developed is that our students are killing it on the plane. They're about 40% done, which is remarkable, and we've received calls from Texas that it was originally designed as a 1-year program, but no one has ever done it. When it gets to be 80% done, which is what we anticipate we might be by June, the parts that you work on are very small, and errors are very important. They can turn you back a long ways. So bringing in a whole new group of students to finish the plane in September didn't seem like the most advised thing. So we invited our sophomores and juniors to repeat for a one period class to come in and finish the plane in the fall and work with the new group of students who will start their own brand new plane, and so they'll learn it from the ground up, if you will. So we have Take Flight 2 added to our program of studies as well.
Did you want to, sorry.
No, I just wanted to say quickly how much work that Bonnie and Christian McDonald have put in, at a grassroots level to try to bring these companies into the fold, and just kind of watching a little bit from afar, what a huge process that is. And I remember back 9 years ago when we started the process with Hypertherm and Fuji, what a huge amount of time at a high level it took and it was invested in it to get to the point where kids could actually enter companies and everyone feel good about it. And so for that to continue and for these companies to join is a windfall for us. So we feel very fortunate, and I want to recognize the hard work that Bonnie and Christian have done.
Bonnie, did you want to run through the other changes really quickly, just for the... Thank you.
Okay, so we have slight change in the language around international exchange students, change in eligibility for summer school and recovery. They need to have passed 2 quarters to be eligible. We added a section about Learn Everywhere. We're not happy about it, but we added it. Our reassessment policy is on your sheet, and it goes with the current one and then to the proposed one. This was a multi-meeting discussion, maybe 5 different subject coordinator meetings, and they involved their departments in coming to consensus on this, which wasn't easy. People had, consensus people had to shift and consider, but we think it's going to be much stronger to have everyone be consistent in this policy. AP Language will now be just a junior class. AP Lit is for seniors. Learning Studios Humanities will be dropping and only earn an English credit. It no longer needs to include economics as part of it, so it's dropping back to being 1 period rather than a double period, and it will be for 1 credit. There's a slightly different course sequence in math, but as we all know, our math program is very individualized, and we take a look at each student's readiness for the next level, and teachers make very strong recommendations and really consider what the best next class would be. Social studies classes have changed from world studies to global studies. We have a new course that we are hoping to run on ski building. We added that students in grade 11 have the opportunity to take the PSAT and MSQT in October. It's optional for juniors, but it is the one that qualifies them for, what's the word?
National Merit Scholarships.
National Merit Scholarships, there we go. So we added that in under our standardized testing section. Economics is no longer a requirement. It's a 4-year turnover when you make a change, and we have our freshmen doing economics now in current issues in economics, so we no longer have to offer it to seniors because the first freshmen are rising into 12th grade. We made a correction to which courses meet the technology requirement. Our technology classes keep growing and changing. When Ian and I started, we had 1 technology class, and it was called Freshman Foundations. Now we have 2 computer science classes, drone piloting, and a lot more. That department has done a great service. The change to the academic honesty party that Ian just went over. Yearbook is currently a half-year class for half a semester, and they're going to change it to a full-year class for 1 credit. Getting it all done in the fall is not really the story. There's more that needs to happen in the spring. So they've learned that this year. The document that is included of AP and honors expectations is another one that took a lot of conversation among the teachers, but we feel strongly that it will help the students to understand what they're getting in for when they decide they're going to take an AP or honors course. Knowing the expectations will maybe dissuade them if they can't live up to them. And then the other 2 I just mentioned.
Thank you. All right, so questions for the high school? Go ahead.
So I just quickly pulled up our policy, GJFAB, which is our foreign exchange students policy. And I don't know if the change to the program of studies that says up to 5, like that is not what our policy states. And there's not like a specific number in our policy, so I don't know if we want to take that out or update our
Update the policy.
that's
We can update the policy, that's easy.
That came from school counseling. Admin wasn't involved in that decision, so I don't really have anything more to add to it.
Let's just hold on to it. We're going to investigate the policy and figure out what needs to happen next.
Sorry, Wendy, what was the name of that policy?
It's JFABB.
JFABB, we'll add it to the April docket.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think it needs to be a
The same,
board, well, a board decision if we want to do up to 5.
All right, so we will get our ducks in a row and then get back to you, which may mean we have to revise something. We'll see. Thank you. MJ.
Well, I guess start on one day? Or
Yeah,
I guess, okay,
start.
so starting the program of studies, I just have an overall kind of question. It seems like there was a lot of redundancy in the program of studies versus what's in the parent and student handbook, and I'm kind of wondering the philosophy behind that, because it seems like we could maybe make it a little more concise in places by not covering stuff that we already covered in another avenue.
I don't really have a great explanation for it. There has been redundancy between all 3 handbooks, and we've tried to clean some of that up. I don't know, to have the same message available in more than one place. Some people, students might spend more time with one document than the other, but I don't have a great answer for you today. I mean, we can look at that, and I know that there are portions of the athletic handbook, for instance, that talk about bullying, or they don't talk about bullying. It refers to the bullying policy and practice outlined in the parent-student handbook. So there's reference to more language in other handbooks, but if there's complete redundancy, I think that's something we want to take a look at and eliminate.
I agree, there's a lot of redundancy, and we've even added more this year, but because it seems to belong in both places, and when we're dealing with a behavior infraction, they're looking at the parent-student handbook. When we're dealing with selected classes, they're looking at the program of studies. So having the philosophy was that having all of the information in both places serves 2 different purposes.
Okay. And then sticking with that, just on the school board members, you have 2 members that haven't been here in over a year, so we just need to update that.
Well, it's been fixed.
It was fixed, I think you printed your,
Before.
yeah.
Okay. So, and then on page 10, it would be nice as a parent to maybe in the program of studies have a little bit, maybe a sentence or 2 of what how midterms and the final grades fit into the overall, because I think there's a lot of confusion between what a quarter grade is and how that impacts GPA versus what does it really mean to have a midterm grade or your semester 1 grade versus, so kind of how do you tie in the different grades would be good to enhance that part, I think.
You're saying around page 10?
It's on page 10. Yeah, there's just a little thing about midterms and finals, but it doesn't necessarily say how your semester 1 and semester 2 grades fit into the
We can build
overall
that out.
scheme. And then I think that was it on that. That's just my suggestions on that.
Anybody else, while we're on program studies, anybody else on the program of studies?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm curious about with the 306s and the change in the graduation requirements. I don't see that reflected in here.
They don't go into the following year.
Yeah.
306s.
26, 27 school year.
Is the first class that will be impacted by those.
Right, and we figure we've been talking about it. We're not happy about that either, but we've been talking about it, and we anticipate that it will change for the class of 2029, which are the rising freshmen 2 years from now, not next year, but the year after. And then it will change each year for the next 4 years as we seek the requirements.
And we're also waiting from the Department of Ed to provide written clarification that some of their new requirements can be embedded into courses versus standalone.
Okay. Thank you. Other program and studies questions? Okay. Let's go to the handbook questions. Go ahead and check that.
Okay, so maybe I too have another old copy, but I don't think we did the agendas in the Valley News anymore. Do we in the newspaper? Because on page 8 it says they're printed in the newspaper prior to the meeting, but I thought
That can be striked. We only do that for the budget. Yeah, we only do it for the budget hearings.
What page is that?
it's at page 8 under Lebanon School Board. And let's see. My other big thing was under junior and senior privileges on page 14, at least on my copy. So the junior, the way it's written like it's an opt-in to get a junior senior privilege, but my understanding is current practice is it's run more of a opt-out policy. So the parent would have to call the school and say, I don't want my junior senior to leave. So
That is correct.
I'm not necessarily, so I think that the handbook then needs to match current practice in it, because it's very misleading in here, and it definitely reads like an opt-in policy, not an opt-out policy.
I know that we used to send out as part of the back-to-school packet, and again, each year has a different collection of information and literature in those packets. We send most of it electronically, and it doesn't really matter, but we originally expected to have parents send in their, to provide permission in that way in order for kids to leave campus, but so few people actually participate actively in the registration process and sending back forms that we would be chasing half the population down and telling them they can't leave if that was the case. So we will change that and make it clear when we send information home that it is an opt-out. And we have a handful of people who do that, very few.
And then on page 21, it says club meetings and extra assistance in classwork. It just reads a little awkward, I think, because it says students participating in non-athletic co-curricular activities and students seeking after-school help will be permitted to be late for teams and practices, but I think by throwing in non-athletic in front of co-curricular, because to me, I always thought co-curricular was the clubs and athletics was sports, so it reads kind of confusing by throwing in the word non-athletic in front of the word co-curricular.
I agree.
To get the intent.
Good job.
I was sitting there going, I'm not quite understanding what this means. And then on page 22, the email policy, I think the email address is actually wrong. It should end on .net, not .edu.
That's correct.
I validated that with my student because I thought it looked weird. And then
What page is that?
page 22. And then under page 38, just under, it's the transportation section, the second to last bullet. Again, this is more of a handbook matching practice. Any change to a normal child's after-school transportation requires a written note being handed to the main office. I'm not sure that we actually do that, and sometimes, I mean, I've always called, I've never handed a written note, but I also didn't think that that was necessarily cared about as much at the high school level with an open campus, so do we need that?
Actually, our bus drivers are pretty vigilant about not allowing students who don't typically take the bus to get on the bus if they don't have permission. But what parents do and what we do for them is they call or we call them and ask if that child has permission to do so. And then we communicate that to Paula, who communicates it to our bus driver. So I would agree. It's more of a phone call than it is a note. We get very few notes at the high school level. I would agree.
Okay. I was thinking of all forms of transportation, car and bus, I guess, so good to know. Can it be interpreted in many different ways?
I just have, on page 8, Lisa is under board members.
And that hasn't changed. Oh, no, it hasn't, still hasn't been changed. Page 8.
Lisa's there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could probably take off MJ, Wendy, and Mary.
Which, well, not yet.
Yeah.
Not quite yet.
Anybody else have something for the handbook? Okay. And then the athletic handbook, athletic and co-curricular handbook. I notice, and still, the page numbers do not match the table of contents. So that,
It's a never ending.
it's a group effort trying to get that work. Any other things for the athletic handbook? Yeah, go ahead, MJ.
Sorry, I spent a lot of time reading all these.
That's
I feel
great.
so educated this week, but.
Believe it or not, we are grateful.
I feel like this book is light years ahead of where it was last year, so I appreciate all those changes. On page 5, under the welcome, the last paragraph, talking about signing an agreement online is a prerequisite for participation, about not using drugs, alcohol, everything else. I don't ever remember, so where do people sign this? Because I'm not sure I remember, is that part of the family ID?
Family ID, right.
And so it says it's once, but every single question in family ID pops up every single time you register someone. So
It should,
is it really only once that I'm signing it in family ID?
I thought, having done, it's been a while since I've done family ID, but I thought the field's self-populated for the most part. No.
No, it's very painful. When you have multiple kids and multiple symptoms, it's very painful.
Okay, well, it was less painful 5 years ago. But we're looking at a new platform for something similar to family ID, but more user-friendly. It is a pain, and we hear less about it now than we did a number of years ago, but hearing now that it remains a difficult thing to navigate, Ben and I have talked a little bit about that, and so I think we'll see some changes there.
But we can remove the word once.
Well, I don't actually ever remember
You do
signing
sign
that
it.
at all.
It's
The
like you
alcohol
sign
thing,
it.
is it?
It's not the alcohol thing, so that there's, if you're signing the agreement to participate, like that for, you give yourself permission, first 3 sentences, you're signing that agreement. The alcohol is not actually,
Okay, so yeah,
it's just like a policy, like there, don't.
Okay, I don't remember that, okay. I do it, I'm like a robot clicking through everything, so. Page 6, under second paragraph, there's an extra director under Director of Athletics and Co-curricular. Page 6. So. And then, page 20, under NCAA eligibility, it looks like we just accidentally hit a return and then went on to the next, and finished the sentence on another line, so that just needs to edit. And then finally, on page 23, we duplicate the NCAA eligibility statement, so I think that was an accident, and it just got thrown in there again. That's it.
Thank you.
And I just have one suggestion, it's not even a thing. Under bell schedules on the website, could we include the 2-hour delay bell schedule as well as the advisory and regular bell schedule? That would be so.
We also have one for early release that we've never used. Do you want that one as well?
Yeah, just in case, but for sure, yeah.
There's 4 different variations.
That's fine, I mean, it's just a PDF, but like if we could put those on there, I think that would be helpful for people. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Before they leave, I failed to mention that Lebanon High School is a candidate for New Hampshire School of the Year for high school. On February 24th, the New Hampshire Eddies Committee will be doing a site visit to the high school and spending the day with our students, teachers, parents, and faculty. So we wish them the best of luck.
Great, thank you, congratulations. We're clapping, we're gonna clap. Here's claps. All right. All right, so we're going to go on, let me get back to my agenda. We are going to move on to the elementary schools, Hanover Street and Mount Lev, and I think Katie is doing both of them.
Are they identical?
Yes, almost identical.
Hi, this is Katie. I'm going to be presenting for Leanna on the elementary schools. So, because they are almost identical. Do you guys like the jacket?
Very expensive.
It was super fun. It was super fun on Tuesday. Okay, do you want me to just go over the changes to the handbook for you guys? Okay, so we updated the school board members. We updated the district personnel. We updated enrollment, class size, and ELL numbers in both of our handbooks. We changed the enrollment process on page 8 to contact the school instead of the SAU because they'll be enrolling at the schools now, the elementary schools. We did update, where it said InfoSnap on page 11, we changed it to Alma because that's our new platform. We updated the school lunch application. We did add a piece, added a policy, the IMGB, which was about the animals in school section, so it was more clear. We updated Appendix A to the most current version, and we updated our lockdown drills and armed assailant drills to indicate two following things. The lockdown drills, which on Mount Lev it is page 21, and Hanover Street School is on page 20. And this procedure, so what we wrote under the lockdown drills is the procedure will be used when the threat to a safety of a student and staff exists, and the student should remain in their rooms. And then we added also changed the armed assailant drills. This process is called avoid, deny, defend, and it's practiced solely with the staff because neither of our schools are practicing with the students. We also updated a sentence in the instructional programs paragraph to include times for the ELA block, which was, we said 120 minutes minimum daily, mathematics 60 minutes daily, and social studies science 40 minutes daily. Dash science. That's about, and we added pictures to make it more kid friendly.
All right, does anyone have anything for the elementary schools? MJ?
MJ, yes. I'm the Lil's apprentice editor. So, for the most part, yes, I agree, they're identical. So I guess they just, with the exception of one thing, they probably need to be made in both handbooks. So, under the enrolling your child paragraph. What page? Well, there is no page number in this handbook, but There's page, you don't have three page numbers. I'm in the Hanover Street one.
Okay.
On that particular page, there's no page number in Hanover.
Is there a picture?
There's a picture of Shaw.
The syringe.
The syringe. Okay, yes. Okay, but it would travel through for both because the language was identical.
Okay.
It says, to complete kindergarten registration, please contact the school for further enrollment in an appointment. And then I feel like there needs to be a transition word that says, for transfer students, records required from a previous school, because otherwise it kind of makes it sound, I got confused that you were now moving on to non-kindergarten enrollment.
Okay, so, okay, so you want us to add that if they're,
So I think after you're done with the kindergarten, either start with a new paragraph or start with a word for transfer students, records are required from the previous school include a transcript of grade, just so we know that, because I was like, why would an entering kindergartner have records from another school? And some of them don't go to school.
okay, so we'll add we can add something around that, add for something around if you transfer, you'll need to, the transfer information when they transfer from a different school, it does come from the other school they do, or our school, they do a records release, it's all signed, so, but okay, we can add something.
What does it, yeah, because it makes it sound like you're looking for
Records from the
other
kindergarten.
things for someone that may never have been in a school system.
Okay.
And then on page 29 in the, which one am I in? I'm in the Hanover Street book. You just need to update, it has Karen Woosley as the Title IX coordinator. And then on page 31, it has Dana Airy as the facilities director, and that's wrong in both books.
And then what was the page for the Dana?
In Hanover Street, it's page 31.
31. I'll look on mine too.
And then my only other was on page 7 in your book, you talk about afternoon sing being twice a month, but then you call it a weekly tradition.
Ooh,
So,
good catch.
yep.
And I think there is actually, can I just go off of that one, just as, I didn't actually see a mention of sing in the Hanover Street School handbook.
They do it differently than we do.
They do, and I think that there's been, like, it would be great to have a statement about Sing in the Hanover Street Handbook, because I think that they expressed some frustration about how it went this year, and they changed the schedule for it, sort of, and I think that there was never a statement anywhere for parents to see what the expectations were.
Okay.
And so I think that, like, it does feel like an important part of the school that should be in the handbook.
Okay.
So
So something about Sing and then Hanover Street.
and expectations of sort of parents and guardians attending.
Okay.
Sorry.
Great.
Back to
I'm
you,
done.
back to you, MJ.
I'm done with my editing.
Okay.
I only have one, and I wondered on the report card section if we should say how we disseminate.
Can you tell me what page you're on?
16 in the Mount Web one. Don't know in the Hanover Street one. But I don't know if we do them
On report
hard
cards?
copy or Alma or email.
So we do Alma. Last year should we, what are we?
Just so people who are new, they wouldn't know that,
They wouldn't
so.
know, yeah.
That's how they know.
Yeah.
Say that they would just look on, we disseminate them through like an email.
Yeah, like how we're distributing, like
Okay.
report cards will be
Outlook, okay.
Yeah.
There's language in the other handbooks around that, if you need to lift something.
Yep. We can change that. Go ahead.
I had one other comment, which is, it's come up for me when we were in the preschool program, and so we got the MLS handbook then, and then now also in the Hanover Street program. There's some interesting language around food in the schools that is in the handbooks, and it's fairly loaded, and it refers to the district's wellness policies, which are also quite loaded in terms of their approach and fairly moralistic in terms of their approach to talking about food and food choices and what constitutes healthy food. And I think that that is should be reviewed.
So I would agree, except that those are federally mandated policies and federally mandated programs. So the language is federally mandated as well.
What is federally mandated?
The language regarding snacks and snacking in schools, regarding food choices in schools, all of that is
And it's
dictated.
federally mandated that it would be in the handbook?
It's federally mandated that it would be in material from SWAC, the Student Wellness Advisory Committee, and it would be in our policy, which is one of the ones we looked at today.
I believe it has to be in the student handbooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and that language, it's not that any of us love it.
We don't.
Okay, that's great, that's helpful to understand. I wonder if it's worth putting a statement to that effect somewhere, because right now it looks very much like that is a message from us, and it is approved by us, and that we agree with it, rather than that it is a pass-through message that is federally required. I think it is a useful distinction to perhaps call out when it is, maybe a useful distinction to begin to call out occasionally.
Jessica,
I think-
are you referring to the school lunch program or
No. No,
are
I'm
you referring to the good health? Under good health?
I was looking, it comes up in a couple places,
What,
I think, but I'm looking at
birthday
page
special
10.
about
Page
food?
10.
Page 10, we're
10
talking
would be
about
one.
Lebanon School District wellness policies around cupcakes, cookies, and other sweets for your child's birthday type.
Yes, we
Yeah.
strongly believe that we should be
Yeah.
helping children make healthy food choices, which is why students are not asked not to bring gum, candy, sugary treats, or soda to school except as authorized. And then the comments about families are strongly discouraged from bringing in cupcakes, cookies, or other sweets for their child's birthday, etc. I also call it out because I think I have observed a disconnect between that written policy and what actually goes on in classrooms. I don't object to this. I bring that up not as an objection to what is going on in classrooms. I think the classrooms do a great job of celebrating things and having school spirit and all of those things, but I do think that when you read something that's very explicitly stated in the handbook and then it is clearly not being followed in the classroom, it sort of throws up some question marks in my head about, like, well, which policies in the handbook do we follow and which don't we? Because clearly, we're not following some of the things that are in the handbook.
It's just as a formal elementary principal when a parent, because you only can have sweets once a month, so.
Yeah.
Yep. And when a parent spends their money to bring cupcakes, to say, can't bring them in.
Totally.
It's,
Yeah. 100%.
but, you
So
know,
I'd love to just see it redlined.
Well, I think what helps is it says funding, but
Right, we can't take it out.
We
Yeah,
can't,
it
we
does
can't.
say that families are strongly discouraged. It doesn't say they can't, so it's not like you can't bring it. It just says.
And we
strongly
can't take it out.
And we can't, yeah.
So,
So,
but Katie should be, as a principal, saying,
Although-
I only can have cupcakes once a month. It's
Yeah.
really virtually impossible to sometimes.
Wow, okay, well, I'm glad I asked,
Yeah.
because this is all a fascinating quandary that I applaud everyone for finding their way through, and also dearly wish we did too.
and you should, I mean, I think every class does it. We all do it different. All our classes do it differently. But if a parent does bring in cupcakes that they're really excited about, and the kid's really excited about, I'm not gonna turn them away, because that would be.
I more say this as a way of, like, I think that the schools and the classes do a great job.
Mhm.
It would just be lovely if, and I don't have any objection to it, it's just, it's always tricky when you sort of, when there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I think, I agree with you, but I think by having strongly discouraged rather than saying prohibited kind of helps reconcile that difference and gets the parents at least maybe ask and have a conversation with the classroom teacher before they send in something.
Language to that effect might be helpful, actually. Parents are encouraged to
Speak with the child.
Yeah, I guess it just feels to me, like so I hear what everyone's saying about, like, we have federal requirements around what we need to say. That seems totally like a thing that would happen. But I would be curious if there's a way to shift the language a little bit so that it's a little bit less, it reads, as a person who just comes in, as fairly clear. And if it's more of a, like, these are important words for us to say, but we also encourage a conversation, that would be a.
I think it sounds fine the way it's written. Sorry.
That's fine, I just
Sorry.
think,
Yeah.
I think we just have to be very, if we add language, I'm not against it, being very careful that if we get audited or anything, that they're not, you're disagreeing with the law and now then.
Yeah.
we have to be
Yeah,
very
we have to be,
careful.
yeah.
I don't think, I mean, we've had lengthy conversations about this meal
Yeah.
policy, and Shay has spent an incredible amount of time making sure that we're compliant. And so this is not a policy that I would recommend making any changes unless it comes through Tim, Shay.
What I'm saying is,
That's not the new
it's not a matter of if we do get out of it every 3 years at food service. And they are.
Well, this isn't a food service.
Yeah, this is all part of
It's all part of the food service.
USDA.
It's the same,
This
it's
is
the
not-
same USDA
It's not
requirements.
lunch and breakfast, but it's part of the USDA money. We receive federal money for breakfast and lunch and snack, and so this language is audited very strictly. So-
So even so this is purely me just trying to make sure I understand. The language that we use in our handbooks about what food parents send in with their children is part of what is audited by in terms of our USDA federal funding requirements.
Yes.
Yes, and that's why it's strongly, I don't know if you could say prohibited. The problem is it's unenforceable, so I strongly prohibited this, but I literally sat in the office arguing with, as a parent, with the USDA people saying, this is ridiculous, you're not gonna tell me as a parent what I can send it to my kid. So I understand everything, the attention you guys are talking about, but it's gotta say, it's strongly discouraged, so parents get the idea they shouldn't send it.
There are also.
But they also recognize we can't make parents.
We can't actually prevent, right, okay, all right, well, I love that apparently there was a nice big pile that I just put my foot in, so I'm gonna slowly back away.
All right. Any other questions for, Katie, about your handbooks? Any of the elementary handbooks? Yes? No? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Moving on to the middle school. John, thank you for being patient.
Hello.
Hello.
We don't have very many substantial changes. We changed some language about our late bus. We needed to change the way we ran the late bus so that we were able to keep the late bus due to bus driver staffing issues and the amount of time kids were spending on the bus. Added a little just language things, the word some, the word yearly to multiple times, things like that. We added in concussion return to play protocol information to make sure we were making that information clear to parents and families. We removed some stuff that didn't belong in there anymore. We re-added some language regarding criteria for school-sponsored activities that was in the version that I was given when I started here last year, but was removed from the agenda paper printed handbook version, and we're not quite sure why that happened, but we have kind of, it's almost, I would say, like the backbone of our holding students accountable process. Like if you get suspended, you don't need to go to the dance in between dances and things like that, so that's added back in. Language, like added the website for how to click to, how to add an absence. We removed some language about lateness and tardiness that just wasn't applicable. We tidied up the language regarding, it said team lunch detentions, which we just do lunch detentions. We don't do office lunch detentions or after school detentions anymore, so we took all that out. Those are the ones that I listed. If they have questions or anything for me.
MJ?
No one goes unscathed tonight, although actually your program of study is A+.
All right.
Yeah, one comment on that one. So I guess that must bring me to this must be the handbook, although it doesn't say it at all. Page 20, under parent-teacher conferences, we just changed them to October. So it says in the book December and March. So I'd either recommend saying fall and spring, or if you want to lock it in a month, it should probably say October and March.
All right.
That's it? Oh, no. Oh, okay. Same page, grading periods, progress reports, and report cards. It says on the second paragraph, midterm progress reports and end-of-term report cards are completed for all students. But this year, you abandoned the practice of midterm progress reports. So are you returning to that practice?
No, we are not. We missed that. And I don't have page numbers on mine. So
It's right underneath the parent-teacher conference.
It's right under the parent-teacher conference. It's page 20 on my version.
Unfortunately, it doesn't help right now because I can't see page numbers.
And I guess
just cut off and up.
As a parent, to maybe discuss a little bit why we're abandoning that long-standing practice of midterm progress reports, because I think it's really beneficial to the parents to kind of have that check-in, especially now they weren't necessarily getting that even from the classes that were ending at that end of that 30-day period.
So with Alma, teachers are expected to update grades every week. So there's, anytime you want a progress report, parents are invited to log into Alma and check progress. So that's the reason behind removing those progress reports.
But I think it was beneficial to have the comments, and a lot of times now you weren't getting the finalized comments, especially on the classes that were ending 30 days until maybe at the end of the trimester.
I haven't looked on all, but the expectation is that those grades from the what we call the hex semester, so the first half of the second trimester should be finalized, but if they're not, I can look into that for you. So for those classes, the expectation is those grades are finalized a week after that course ends. Have you looked recently, or?
Well, no, because I didn't
Okay.
know. I also didn't see a notice that it was actually halfway through this semester.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, we're darn near the end of the second trimester.
So when you look that up and clarify that, I would look through a parent portal instead of an administrator portal in Alma, because I think one of the things we've been seeing is that what administrators see and what parents can see is very different. And so sometimes
I can do that.
it's entirely possible they're there, but the parents can't see them, so we
Right.
just need to check on that.
Good to check, yeah. Thank you.
And then, the last thing is more, I guess, maybe it was, on page 22 about the no nurse plan present. It was, and I'm just more curious, I guess maybe this is more of a question for Amy or the other, that plan is not called out in any other handbook. So I'm wondering, is that a situation that's unique to the middle school, or do all schools have a no nurse present plan and we just chose to call it out in this handbook?
Everyone has a plan, there's not a nurse. I think I don't know if this has been the handbook for many years, and then you just kept it going.
Yeah, I don't know either. We have a plan.
And I've been a victim of that plan before, so I appreciate the plan. It just seems like we should maybe call, and I guess I didn't think to say this to the other people. It's weird we call it out in one school only, if it's a district philosophy to have a no nurse present plan in every school. It looks like we're not prepared in the other 3 schools.
Sure, I can share that with the other schools that have that.
There's a lot of references to board docs, and that's going to
Yes.
disappear. And so you may want to just say website, or I don't know if it's safe to do diligent by the time it prints.
Oh, yeah, it should be by the
And
time.
your last part, what you said, John.
Diligent is what it
Yeah.
will be called.
That's what, you got, we're on board docs now, but you're switching.
We're switching to community. They're both made by a company called Diligent.
Diligent.
But like right now, it directs you, like the link that is in the handbook directs you to a site that does not have, that like has you contacting Lori Morgan and doesn't have any information in it about any, like it doesn't have them.
So check that link.
Check the link.
All those links, board docs.
Check the board docs link. And await further updated links for those.
Yeah.
Right now, I would just change them to say, go to the SAU website.
Yeah, I was gonna say that,
directly,
yeah.
and then when we get the updated links, we'll put them in. I don't think it's. John, you have anything else for, anybody else for?
I have just one,
middle school?
on the Dear LMS Families front page. You say this information, in the first paragraph, this information is organized to establish our academic blah, blah, blah. And I, where it says, and our co-curricular, I would add athletics. Somewhere in that line.
Is that right? Co-curricular.
So I would do our athletics probably first, since that's the way you have it in your.
Athletics, co-curricular, and school activities.
Or you can skip that second comment. if you don't
Sure,
want to comment,
but no
whatever.
one wants to skip that second comment. Not going to skip it.
I
I'm
can
good.
separate you two.
All right.
Tease because I laugh.
Anybody else have anything for Tom? No, okay, great, thank you very much. All right. Yes, now we are on to the policies.
Are we going to approve the handbook?
Oh, right, we have to do that first. Haha, discussion and action. We need a motion. They're separate, can we?
I think we can just do
We
them
can do them all at once, yeah, let's do them all at once.
Make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 handbooks for Hanover Street School, Mount Lebanon School, Lebanon High School, and Lebanon Middle School, as well as the athletic co-curricular handbooks and the program of study handbooks for schools.
As amended.
As amended.
As amended. All right, can I get a second? Second by Mary. All right, no additional information. All those in favor? Great, thank you all. Okay, moving on to more policies.
So just a quick explanation of why we're seeing all of our policies, or a bunch of them as first readings instead of on our reviewed list, is because they're specific to board governance, and so we wanted to just have them go through the normal process so that the board really takes the opportunity to review the policies before they, instead of just sort of moving them too quickly through the process. So that's why we see even some policies that we just simply reviewed with minor edits coming for first readings. So I'll make a motion to move.
Sorry, if we have, some questions. Can I do it before or after, like the sort of, I have a substantive question for one of them.
Which one?
Policy. BEDDA, for governance and procedure. And we can probably resolve it quickly, but under the chart on that policy, it talks about the votes required to pass, right? There's 51%, and we have 9 people. We don't have 51%. That will never happen. So can we say it, is that what we mean? We mean 5 out of 4? Or?
Doesn't get directly from, so I think it just means majority, is what my understanding.
Right, so we could do majority, but I mean, 51%, it's like we can Lebanize this, right? Because we only have a 9-member board, so we won't ever have 51% of anything. So we would have 5% if we have 5 out of 9, but, so we can have a majority, we can say just a simple majority,
But
which
if
would be 5
somebody's,
out of 9.
but if somebody's absent one night, then you could end up at 51%, right? If
How
you're down to
much?
7
If
or,
if one person's absent, it goes
so I guess maybe
50
put
or-
simple majority and,
Yeah,
I think super majority.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm wondering if that, I mean, to me, when I see 51%, it is equal to simple majority, so I don't know that it's confusing, but.
Well, I mean, it's just because, again, I want our practice to match our policy. So if we did have, like, let's say 2 people absent, and we have 7, I mean, I guess, if we have, no, 1 person absent, we have 8, then nothing can ever pass.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So if we have a motion and we have 8 people here, 1 person's absent, right? We have, it's a tie.
It doesn't pass.
It doesn't pass. It doesn't
Because
pass
it
because it
51 and up.
has to be 51 and up. Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. It's fine. I'm happy to leave it. I just, again, I think that it's.
Would you rather I make a greater than sign and make it greater than 50%?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I think that all means the same.
I think so too.
Yeah,
If it's clear.
no, it's fine. I mean, if it's clear to everyone else, that's fine. I just want to make sure that, just because and then again, if we go down to 15, this is my other question. For 15, we have a 3/5 supermajority. So what is a 3/5 supermajority of 9?
That could be clearer.
And no, I think that that's probably the language of the law, so.
But I mean, we can put in parentheses what that means for us, because a 3/5 supermajority is not clear to me what would constitute a 3/5 supermajority of 9 of us.
So it's 60%, so it would be 6 people.
60% of those present, right?
Yes.
You have to calculate it.
So it would be greater than 5.
But then a 2/3 majority is, in the chart, we have 2 things that require a 2/3 majority, and that would be 6. So supermajority would be less than a 2/3 majority? Right?
3/5 is greater than
6/10. I know, it's like some of them are percentages and some of them are fractions.
Do you know where these percentages come from initially? Are they part of a RSA?
I'm assuming they're part of an
Well, there is
RSA.
Robert's rules, but they're different.
Robert's rules for most things, I mean, is majority or 2/3 vote, which we follow Robert's rules, so I would think you just change it to.
But this is an RSA thing, that's the question.
But we don't have an RSA listed, so at the very least, we need to figure out if there is an RSA, I should be including that as a cross-reference.
So maybe we
I'll take some notes.
just need to hold on to that for a second, just so we can find out what the. if it
Well,
is-
assuming that this is, I think this was probably one that was more reviewed than revised.
Right.
We can table it, and I can look at it.
Yeah. Can we do that? Let's just.
I'll stick it in the April one.
I don't think, I mean, it is the existing policy.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. Do you want to just mark it as go through it, the regular process review, and I'll still take it up in April.
Yeah, that's fine.
To see.
Well, and I think we can, you could still make modifications at the next meeting.
Yeah.
And if it needs to be modified, we can modify it then.
Yep. That's great, that's a good idea. Because we're on first reading, so that's fine. That was my only one, sorry. Not to cause all kinds of trouble.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's what we've been, I think it's only maybe for you to understand what those numbers are.
No, I mean, I understand what the numbers mean. My question is, like, it doesn't make sense. Some of it is percentages, some of it is 3 out of 5, some of it is 2 out of 3. I mean, we're not consistent through the thing. So my question is, do we want to be consistent, or do we want to do fractions? Do we want to do percentages? They're not the same as what we're coming up with. It's fine with me, whatever we decide. And if it is related to the law, and the law is confusing, because that is highly possible, that's fine with me as well. I just would just like to clarify that.
I had a quick question about JJE. Just, Tim, were you okay with that language? I never did.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't respond, yes.
That was the fundraising one.
Yeah, we just, I made a change because it was clear that we actually can sell things like frozen pizza and cookie dough and stuff, as long as they're sealed, bulk, and delivered at the end of the day or whatever, so not something in the school. Otherwise, that's when you want to file with USDA. You're very specific. You're all specific people.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Wendy.
Okay, so I will make a motion to the following policies listed under new business, so 10 G through Z. I'll make a motion to move those to a second reading. Second.
Okay, motion by Wendy, second by Tia. Any additional questions? Okay, all those in favor? Great, thank you.
Make a motion to accept the lonely policy listed under the policy report dated February 3rd, 2025.
Okay, motion by Wendy, can I get a second?
I will second that.
Second by Richard.
It was fun.
Okay, all those in favor? Great.
I'll make a motion to move the following policies listed under new business 10 BB through EE to a second reading and then to be withdrawn.
Okay, motion by Wendy, second by Tia. All those in favor? Okay, great, thank you. And thank you, Policy Committee, as usual, a lot of work. Okay, we're going to open up public comment one more time. Is there anyone in the room who has public comment? Is there anyone online who would like to make public comment?
There is no public comment online.
Okay, great. We are going to do committee updates quickly. We do have to have a non-public after this, just FYI, board members. F&F met on February 10th.
We did. F&F met on February 10th, and we discussed some possible options going forward for communicating information about district enrollments, costs, et cetera, sort of making sure that we're collecting that information and presenting it in a usable fashion to the public and retaining it for board purposes. We also discussed the CIP that we're looking to make a six-year CIP. We've already reviewed year 1. This was a review of years 2 and 3. And we also discussed, like as part of that discussion, we talked about the need to sort of beef up the SAU discussion going forward, which we've sounds like we're sort of setting ourselves up for. And we thanked our outgoing committee members, MJ and Wendy, who will both be leaving the board and have contributed a great deal to our committee, and we're very grateful for their service.
Thank you. All right, and the next meeting is to be determined. Policy Committee met on February 3rd, which we've already talked about. Next meeting is...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, did you
We
want
don't have a next meeting,
Okay, next meeting is TBD. Okay, EC,
Can I just,
yes.
one, sorry.
Sorry.
So just of note for policy committee stuff, one thing that we did do at our meeting is we are transferring power as of, or policy chair roles to Richard as of March 1st.
Right, which we like that idea. That's good. Good job, thanks. All right, EC met on January 13th. Next meeting is March 3rd at 4:15 at the SAU office. PNN met on November 7th. Next meeting is not until next year when we go negotiate in the next contract. SWAC met on January 8th. Next meeting is May 7th at the SAU office. HACTC met on December 3rd. The next meeting is March 12th. Area committee will meet on February 27th at 6 p.m. at LMS. The School District City Task Force met on January 23rd at 6 p.m. at City Hall. I mean, we talked, at that time, we talked about some legislation that was being suggested in the House about funding and how taxes are going to happen, and how one of the things that was in that was a proposal to put a tax cap on school districts, which sort of slid in there. And so we talked about the city's approach to that. They felt like the bill was extremely detrimental to them. We felt like the bill was extremely detrimental to us for various reasons. We talked about that at length.
I think in addition, we are hoping to have our May meeting to be a joint council, joint school board meeting. Hoping to have that once a year to set off the new fiscal year. Solid footing.
And we did talk about after that meeting going forward to have much more integrated task force and meetings, and especially with regard to budgeting processes going forward in the city and in the school district. So it was a positive meeting. We'll hope that it will work out. Housing Task Force met on January 27th.
We met on January 27th. Did I give everyone an update?
I think you did. It was a while ago. You did.
Sure you did.
And you're meeting again?
We're meeting again February 27th.
February 27th. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just do the important dates and announcements for those people who are still online. We have a school board meeting on February 26th at 6:30 p.m. at the here, and the Meet the Candidate Night, as I mentioned earlier, is February 25th at 6:30 p.m. at the SAU auditorium. Also, a calendaring note for the board. You all will look at your.
Sorry, is it this? So it's the 25th, and it's at the SAU auditorium. Is that a different place than the candidates night for the city council?
Yes.
Okay, so they're
It
simultaneous.
trades. Oh, no, they're at the same.
They're in the same place?
Yeah, they're the same
Okay.
place. We
Usually
trade,
one goes
we trade
first.
locations and we trade who goes first.
Okay.
So, yes.
I think somewhere else it may have been written that it was in the city hall, so.
Oh, okay, so we should check on
I'm
that.
sorry, update my calendar.
All right, we'll check on that with the city and make sure. So just a calendaring note, a couple of calendaring notes. For those of you who have not finished your board self-evaluations and you know who you are, I will come and find you today. They're due on the 15th. The next board meeting is the 26th. We will most likely be having a non-public after that meeting to talk about our self-evaluations. The superintendent's self-evaluation is due on the 28th. So we will probably need to have another meeting on the 5th before elections to discuss the superintendent's evaluation. You'll get the information before that meeting, but just so you know. So I think we're gonna go ahead and schedule that, just so everybody knows there's the meeting on the 5th of March. The March 12th meeting is canceled because that's too close to the election. We have to wait a certain number of days after the election to have our organizational meeting. So our next meeting in March will be the 19th. So in March, we're flipping our dates. We're going to be meeting on March 5th and March 19th instead of March 12th and March 26th.
So the 5th will be an actual, like, full.
It'll be an actual meeting.
Full board meeting.
Mhm.
Okay. So 6:30 till whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense, everyone? Yes, so March 5th and March 19th will be our next full board meetings, and the March 19th meeting will be our organizational meeting with the newly elected board members, and we'll elect officers and all of that.
And the 26th is,
I don't think we're having a meeting on the 26th. Unless something comes up.
No meeting on the 12th, no meeting
No
on the
meeting on the
26th.
12th, no meeting on the 26th, meeting on the 5th, meeting on the 19th. Yeah? Clear as mud. Yes? Great. Okay. Thank you for that. All right, so we are going to go into a non-public session. So can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to enter non-public under NHRSA 91A:32C.
Okay. And can I get a second? Okay, motion by MJ, second by Richard. We need to do a roll call vote to go into non-public. Kevin?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Richard?
aye.
Mary?
Yes.
MJ?
Yes.
I'm a yes. John?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Tia?
Yes.
Okay, great. And can you guys bring into that non-public, can you bring your GJFAB, your copy of GJFAB that's in your, wherever it is, in your packet, or your computer, or whatever, for yourselves. For your computer. Thank you. the school board meeting back to order at, whatever time it is, 8:30. Okay, any future agenda items, board member recommendations or questions?
Can I make a motion?
Yes, you can.
Can I make a motion to move policy GJFAB to approve that policy? Or
Seconded.
adopt that policy?
Okay, hold on. I have to write this down so I can go to the minutes of everyone. To adopt policy GJFAB. Okay, second by Richard. Okay. Any additional comment on that? Just been a slight amendation. All those in favor? Okay, unanimous, 0. All right. Any other questions, comments, questions? All right, can I get another motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Richard. Richard, second tired by Mary. All right, all those in favor? Great, thank you. Meeting